My pleasure. Okay, so just before we get started, any questions? Anything that you've worked through? Any questions on frameworks or cases or any of your case prep or the materials, or did you want to jump straight into the case?
My biggest concern for the case would be if it's an industry that I'm familiar with and I'm good at it. If it's not, then I lose a little bit of confidence in the beginning. So that
Yep.
might be something I need to watch out for. But other than that, I am ready to start whenever you are.
Cool. Actually, yeah, let me talk about that really quick, just in terms of the mindset shift. So,
hmm
um, uh, what are the odds that you get a car manufacturing case? What are the percent chances?
I would say BCG has like 10 industries, big industries, and automotive is one of them. So for the automotive industry, getting a car manufacturing case is like pretty likely. So I would say maybe like 5% or something.
Nope, less than 1%. What
Oh, really?
about
Oh.
airlines? What about airlines?
Airline, 10%?
Nope, less than 1%. What
Less than
about
1%?
industry X? What about Y? What about Z? What about A, B, C, D, E, F,
Mm,
G? All of them less than 1%.
got it.
Okay, so in my course, I have the industry deep dives and I have kind of outlines and things like that. And then in the
hmm
preparation plan, right, every week you're supposed to do an industry deep dive, i.e. go off and research it. Why would I do that if not a single industry or a single business will come up even 1% of the time? What's the point of that?
Mm, I see, I see.
What's
So
the
I
point
guess,
of that? Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I guess if you already have that business acumen, you already know the industry, then you know it. If you don't, given a short amount of time, maybe that's not the best way to prioritize your time, if that makes sense.
Well, then why do I have people go and research industries?
Because there are a
Are we
lot of
trying
them.
there's infinity. There's
Mm,
infinity, right? It could be an Apple Watch. It could be a Ukrainian military drone manufacturer.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
It could be cryptocurrency, right?
mm-hmm,
It could be a satellite in space. It could be solar panels next to the sun that then port down energy through radioactive molecules to give us energy. It could be fusion. It could be fission. It could be deep sea mining, right?
mm-hmm.
But are we supposed to learn every single industry and be experts in it?
Nope, nope.
Cool. What do consultants do?
Um, I guess the deep down problem solving has to
Mm,
rely partly on the expertise in the area that you study, but I think most of it is when it comes to solving problem, there should be some similarities when it comes to like calculation, reading
mhm.
activate and stuff. Um, so I guess it's good that you have that knowledge, but if you
Mhm.
don't, then research it and then you will know how to do it.
Yeah, that's essentially right. Like, I mean, I came from an IT background. My first project was a liquefied natural gas plant, right? I needed to understand it within a couple days, right?
Mm-hmm.
So remember that a case is a project, right? A case interview is just a metaphor for a real life project. And as a consultant, you're going to go in, it's guaranteed you're going to go into a company or industry that you don't know. It's almost guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
90, if
Mm-hmm.
I were a betting man, I'd bet that every time. Sometimes I'd be wrong, but 95% of the time you're going to go into something you don't know. Same thing with a case.
Mm-hmm.
So in fact, I would actually argue knowing the industry is almost a disadvantage because then you start to think you know the answer and you lock in and you're too narrow with your case solving.
Mm, that makes sense.
So the reason that we go and research our own industries is so that we can learn how to think about industries, right? And so this
Mm,
applies to behavioral, this applies to casing, it applies to everything. Expect the unexpected. Be ready for anything. Your job is not to be an expert. Never. At any point in time, are they bringing you in because you have subject matter expertise? That's what we pay
mm,
guys $1,000 an hour to hop on a call with us for when we jump on a project, right? So every project, we'd actually jump on a call with an expert. We pay them $1,000 or more, and we just download information from them over a couple hours, right? And then obviously we go and do research and learn. But you come in as a generalist, right? You don't know anything about it. You have to learn.
mm,
So same thing goes for a case. Your job is not to go through this list and be like, cool, now I know automotive, now I know airline. Your job is to go, okay, when, not if, when I don't know an industry, am I always able to figure it out? And that is by drawing parallels, right? Drone manufacturing for Ukraine, right? That's going to be hardware manufacturing and it's going to be software. All right. So now you know there's economies of scale. Now you know that there's going to be an element of designing an IT and upfront research and development, but then also an element of raw materials and resources, right? It's going to be highly capital intensive, right? Things like that. You can draw parallels to what you know about other industries. Secondly, you can just think critically about it, all right, and start to break it out. And third, you can ask questions in a way that allow you to get more information from the interview. Okay? So
That's
that's the
true.
approach I want. I want you to have, the reason I'm stopping and talking about that before we do a case is because I want you to have that mindset for frameworks. I want you to have that mindset for behavioral and fit. Everybody thinks that they can go and memorize this stuff, but they can't, because there is infinity. I have a list. I have a whole list of all the behavioral questions my candidates get asked, all of the case prompts my candidates get asked. Guess what? Not a single one overlaps. If I did an Excel formula that says, find if this thing equals any other one in the list out of hundreds that I have for behavioral questions, none of them match. For case prompts, none of them match, except for, why consulting, why the company, and why the role, obviously. But other than that, there are so many possibilities, and same goes for industries. So come in with the mindset of, I am not going to know anything, but my job is to figure it out. Okay?
That makes sense. Okay.
All right, cool. So thanks for bearing with me there. I know you're excited to just jump into the case, but are you ready now for the, do you have any other questions, or does that make sense and you're ready to case?
That makes perfect sense. So I'm ready for a case now. Yeah, let's do it.
Perfect. Okay. So our client is Korean Car Parts, or KCP. They are a multinational original equipment manufacturer, or OEM, and they manufacture car parts, and they're based in Korea. They serve the US and the Japanese automobile industry. So, they sell parts to Honda, Toyota, GM, Ford, etc. And they've recently seen a decline in profits. We've been brought in to understand how to address this falling profitability.
Understood. So I have a question regarding our objective. Is our only objective studying the profit decline, or do we have any other things we want to keep in mind?
We're just looking at the profitability.
Awesome. So I guess for the long term, we're hoping to have Korean car parts increase profitability. Is there a goal that we want to achieve in a certain number of years?
Not a specific target, no.
Got it, got it. Awesome. So I just want to repeat the information to make sure that I understand the problem. So our client is Korean car parts. It sells to US and Japan. It's a B2B business, and it's seeing a profit decline, and we're looking to how to resolve that.
Yep, that's correct.
Awesome. I would also like to know a little bit more about, is there any general information regarding the profit decline as we've seen in the past that I need to be aware of before I start thinking structuring?
Not any information that I have.
Awesome. Okay, I think I understand the business model. I also understand the objective. Can I take a couple seconds to orient my thoughts?
Sure thing.
Got it. Sorry, for the first question, we're just looking into factors to explore behind the profit decline, right?
Nope. We're fixing the profitability issue.
Oh, we're fixing, so we're looking at solutions, not just factors.
Almost always in every single case.
Got
Root
it.
cause
Okay.
investigation is not what we really do in a case. Everyone thinks that, but we could find the problem, but that doesn't mean that that's the solution, if that makes sense.
So for
Almost
now,
always.
we're got it. For this case, we're looking at solutions. I just want to double check and make sure I understand it.
Yes, in almost all cases as well.
Awesome. Okay. Awesome. Okay, I'll take a couple of seconds and thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
Okay. In order to look into some solutions for, I guess, increasing our profit in the long term, I want to look into 5 aspects. So first of all, I want to do some diagnostics of the profit decline to understand where the problem comes from. Second, I want to understand the market, if there's competition, if the economy is bad, or like high level stuff. Third, I want to understand if there any issue with our internals, so the client internals. Number 4 is I want to understand the detailed solutions to, for instance, expand to other locations, expand to other business and stuff. And last is the financials, where we're going to do some math and calculate the profitability to make sure we reach our main objective. So first, for the diagnostics, I want to understand, where does the profit decline come from? Which country does it come from? Or which city, since we're selling to US and Japan? And is it seasonal? How long has it been? How many years has it been? Was it a sudden drop in a number in a certain year, or was it gradual drop? I also want to understand, which car parts are we seeing the most profit decline in? Is it the tires? Is it the engine? Is it the seats? Is it semiconductors and all the other stuff? So that's regarding the root cause analysis. Number 2, looking at the market, I want to understand, is our profit declining due to, I guess, the economy being bad? People are not buying as much. These car manufacturing companies are not buying enough parts. Or if it's due to competition with other car part manufacturing companies that are selling to these Toyota, Honda, these companies. So to understand if the market is shrinking, or the market is not shrinking, but our share is stolen by our competitors. Number 3, moving on to some clients internals. I wonder if there's anything wrong with our R&D, property, plants, and equipments, or like staff. So there could be something like, our product is not working very well. The research and development team is not keeping up with the trends of having like the most up-to-date engine or up-to-date semiconductors. So there might be internal issues regarding our company. And number 4 is the key, which is the solutions when it comes to profit increase. I can mainly think of 3 main solutions. First is we should consider, let's say we're still selling to US and Japan. Can we sell to more companies rather than just the companies we're working with these days? Second, except from selling to companies, can we sell to consumers directly? So can we do a B2C other than a B2B, or on top of a B2B business? Can we, excuse me, sell to consumers who need a replacement of a car part directly, so that can expand our customer base? The third solution I can think of is, can we expand to other locations? Since you mentioned we're selling to Japan and US, I think it makes a lot of sense for us to sell to other Asian countries and
Okay,
other
great.
North American. Yeah. All right.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right. Okay. To start with, I would like to look at some market information to understand if you have any information regarding the market, like competition and other players in the market, or the total demand. Do we have any information regarding that?
I do not have that information.
Okay, got it. So I'm curious to look into some strategies to improve the profitability. Um, so for example, like expanding to other B2B business or B2C or other locations. Do we also um, have anything that's relevant?
I don't have strategies for going to other B2B businesses, no.
Got it. I guess, do we have any information on how we plan to increase profitability, just very generally?
Uh, I don't know. I'm the client. This is our first day. You've come into the business. So I'm bringing you in to help me with this. So you've got to, I know a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff, but I need some guidance.
Got it. Awesome. Then I guess we have some current financial information. Is it okay if we look into that?
Maybe yeah. What do you mean?
So I guess you're saying we have a profit decline currently. So Do we have any information on how much the profit has declined? Where does this decline come from? Things like that.
Yeah, I have the following information.
Awesome, thank you.
Mhm.
Awesome. Can I just take a quick few seconds to look at the exhibit?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, awesome. So just from looking at this exhibit, it looks like we are seeing a pretty drastic decline in sales from wheels, airbags, and seatbelts. But we're
Mhm.
seeing actually increase in sales from AC units and carburetors. Sorry, I don't really know what carburetors means.
Carburetors.
Carburetor. Sorry, what is it? May I know a little bit more about it?
My gasoline engine knowledge is not too good. The carburetor I know helps the engine. I forget exactly how.
Okay, okay.
Probably not a word we'll need to know in 15 years if all goes well with the EV transition. But yes, it's something related to the engine.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for explaining that. Since we are seeing revenue increase in, it's we don't have to know much about it anyways. So yeah, so the ones that we're seeing a decline in sales are wheels, airbags, and seatbelts, and we're seeing a very drastic decline for seatbelts. Which is the most drastic one that we're seeing in previous year sales. To current year sale, it's more than 60% decline. And from current year sales to projected next year sales, it's more than also more than 60% decline. So these are like drastic decline projected for 2 years. So I guess one way we can do to improve profitability is to either focus on the ones that we are enjoying a high sales and increasing sales at, which are the carburetors. Sorry, I might have pronounced it wrong
Yeah.
again. Carburetors and the AC units. We are seeing decent growth in these two product lines. So that's one way we can approach it. Another way we can approach it is to study what is actually the underlying cause for the decrease in sales of wheels, airbags, and seatbelts. So I wonder for any of these two paths that I directed, do we have any information on either of them?
Yes, I have the following information for you.
Awesome. Can I also take a few seconds to look at it real quick?
Sure thing.
Okay, just by intuitively looking at it, since from last graph, we knew that seatbelts, airbags, and wheels are the three parts that we're not selling well, we're seeing a decline in. And it looks like to customers from this figure, we're seeing that they care a lot about delivery speed and quality importance for wheels and airbag, and they care most about delivery speed for seatbelts. So, as I can also see from the carburetor and AC units customer importance information. Customers care less about delivery speed for these two product lines. So my initial hypothesis would be customers are switching away from buying seatbelts, airbags, and wheels from us because our delivery speed might be a little bit lower compared to our competitors. So it's not like people don't need it anymore. I think people will still need them. So I guess moving on, I want to understand um, if we have any information regarding the current delivery speed, and I can brainstorm some solutions to increase our delivery speed, if that makes sense.
Okay, I have the following information.
Mm. Sorry, are you? Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh, I saw it's the same exhibit. My bad. Okay.
It's similar
Okay.
looking chart.
Okay. My bad. I'll also take a few quick seconds. Thank you.
Mhm.
Sorry. I just want to make sure I understand. KCP, Good Motors, these are the companies that also produce car parts, just like our clients.
Our
Um,
client is KCP.
our client is my bad. Okay.
But the other ones, yes, they produce the same. They're our competitors. That's right.
Got it. Because I read down as Korean car parts, so KCP was not intuitive to me.
And no worries.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
my bad. Okay, so from looking at this exhibit, I see that all our competitors are doing a much better job in terms of delivery speed compared to us. It's like 3 times as satisfactory to the client, sorry, to our client's client compared to our own clients.
Mhm.
So I think there's a very large room for improvement for KCP in this case. So I guess after seeing this significant difference, 3 times difference, I would like to maybe brainstorm some ideas on how we can improve our delivery speed,
No,
if that makes sense.
no.
Okay. Um, Got it. Okay. Do we have any information regarding our previous delivery speed? If like what part of it is lacking? If I can take a look, is it the transportation that the vehicle that we chose was too slow, or is it the
I
operations perspective? Sorry.
I don't have previous delivery speed.
Got it. Do we have any information regarding KCP's delivery speed?
Yes, I do.
Awesome.
So it takes our client 2 days to manufacture the product once ordered. It then takes 20 days to ship across the Pacific, and it takes 2 days to then transport by road and rail once it's reached the US. Local competitors do not have to ship to the US, and so they only take a total of 4 days, which is the manufacturing part and the road and rail transport.
Got it. So it looks like the time it takes for us compared to the local competitors is 6 times as much as the local competitors. So I guess a delivery speed of satisfactory level of 3 is pretty high, given that
Mm.
we're actually 6 times slower. Okay. Um, so given that we really, I guess, cannot speed up this process since it's I guess transoceanic shipping. It's like so far, I guess one way to really improve our delivery speed is to deliver through airline that can be faster. But I honestly don't feel that optimistic about it because regardless of what means we use to transport, it's still going to be slower than the local competitors, given that they don't have to do the international shipping. So I guess my way of approaching it further is I think we can look into Asian markets. I think KCP in terms of delivery speed, it can
No,
really. I see. Okay. Um, okay, I understand that. So I guess for my previous hypothesis of reducing the shipping time, I also bring some ideas for regarding
I don't want you
reducing.
to brainstorm unless I ask.
Okay. Okay, so let me just take a step back. Since our main objective is to bring the profit back, and we are seeing a decline in sales for seatbelts, airbags, and wheels, which where customers care a lot about delivery speed. And it looks like delivery speed is not something that can be fixed easily, given
You
that it's
never asked me
24
that.
days.
You just
Sorry?
assumed. You never asked me
Oh,
that.
okay. Then I guess maybe we should explore how we can make the delivery speed faster. Do we have some options for that?
Cool. Good. Now I'll ask you to brainstorm. What do you think the options would be?
Got it. So we are still shipping to US and Japan, right?
I don't know what you mean by still. I've given you the numbers and the information.
Got it. Okay.
Oh, I
So,
see. Yeah. We're talking just about the shipping. We're talking about the products in the US. That's what we're talking about, resolving this
okay,
delivery
okay.
speed issue.
Okay, okay, got it. Can I take a few seconds to brainstorm it?
No.
Okay. Um, all right. I can think of um two ways to handle it, two big buckets.
Okay.
First one is, can we consider local manufacturing? So I know we are Korean car parts, we operate in Korea, but can we have a warehouse, a manufacturing facility location in the US? So that way we can be competitive with the local competitors. The shipping time will be roughly the same, right? 2 days to manufacture and 2 days to transport. Um, that is one aspect I can think of. Another way to think of, if we absolutely cannot have a local store in US, can we have a local store in a country that's closer to US? So like Canada or Mexico that can be shipped to the US in a faster timeline. That's another thing. A third way I can think of it is, can we think of other means of transportation? So a flight might take, I would say at most 20 hours, 15 hours-ish. So that's less than a day. And so that can significantly drive our delivery speed up. That might also be another way to do it. And I can also think of, can we increase our manufacturing
That all
efficiency?
sounds good.
Okay,
Unfortunately, there won't be anything that we're able to do at this point in time with delivery speed.
I see. If we absolutely can't do anything about delivery speed, and
Mhm.
since customer satisfaction with seatbelts, airbags, and wheels are directly associated with delivery speed, I would go back to my initial hypothesis and suggest that we focus our business, our, sorry, what is it called again? Carburetor.
Yes,
Carbu
carburetors and yes, carburetors would be the first one, and your second one.
And second one is AC units. Since they rely much less on delivery speed, if there's absolutely no way that we can improve our delivery speed. So, um, so I would suggest our clients to expand our business in carburetor and AC units.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess since we now want to focus on expanding our business in carburetors and AC units, do we also have any information regarding carburetors and AC units?
I do not have any additional information.
Okay, got it. Then I guess um, going back to our main objective of increasing profit, should I also brainstorm some ideas for how to increase profit for our carburetor and AC unit sections?
Nope.
I see. Um, Do we also have any profitability information for carburetors and AC units?
I do not, and we'd be ready for a final recommendation.
Okay, awesome. So my final recommendation for our
You can take
clients,
a moment if you need.
okay, thank you. Okay, my suggestion for our clients would be to invest more in expanding their business in carburetors and AC units so they can increase their profitability. Because carburetor and AC units, the customer satisfaction and customer purchasing behaviors are less relevant to the delivery speed, which we cannot improve in a short run. And it currently takes us, 24 days to ship all the other stuff to the US. So shipping speed is not something that we can improve. So yeah, so next step, since we decide to invest more in carburetor and AC units, I would like to see if we can have some marketing strategies to focus on these two product lines and increase our production capacity and achieve more economies of scale so we can both increase revenue and decrease costs and achieve more profit in the long run.
Great, thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
just give me 2 seconds. I'm going
Yes.
to quickly finish up.
Mm.
Um, du-du-du. Okay. Thank you for dealing with the intensity as well. My goal is to, basically if you can
Stress
handle
test.
me, yeah, exactly. If you can handle me in an interview, then you can handle anyone. So
It's
that
so
is
helpful.
I always feel bad. I know
Don't
it's I
don't
know
be don't be.
oh, I know it's my job, but also during it I'm always like, "Ah, no, I want to help more." Okay. So, give me a second. I'm just pulling
Hmm.
up a couple quick things.
Yes.
Okay. So, first of all, I am going to share with you a video where I talk through multiple framework options. Okay. And I'm also going to share this entire case live. So I have a video where I do this case live. You get to see how I navigate it. And just because, yes, I know the case, but I'll show you what it's like to ask the wrong thing and how you adjust, and also have really, really organized pathways for your questions so that when the first one gets eliminated, then you have the next one, then you have the next, and you're completely covered. So you get to see that case leadership in action and kind of how I process charts, how I process info, etc.
Mm.
There is also another video, which is a alternate version, like an alternate reality of this case, right? Any given case could go 20 different ways, right? I always encourage my candidates to create their own case so that you can actually see what happens when you build a case. Nothing's random, right? So like with TV shows and movies, whenever I watch with like anyone, they always get annoyed with me because I'm like predicting what happens next. The reason I can predict what happens next in a poorly written movie or show, right, like your Marvel movies, is because somebody wrote it. And so people always go, how did you know that when they drop this thing, this would happen? And I'm like, well, because if you have a scene where they drop this thing, it's not random, right? So it's the same thing with a case, right? Just like how movies and shows, a lot of them are predictable because the writer, the author puts something in explicitly, is not random. Same thing with a case. And so it's about reading those clues and seeing where do they want me to go, not guessing. We know our pathways, but anticipating. Then from the second video, what you'll see is at one point in the case, it changes. Different information comes through than in the case we just did. And you'll see how that changes the outcome and the flow of the case. I have a video as well where I am live doing it. So you can see what happens as a result and how I adjust my thinking as a result. Okay.
Mm. Awesome.
Um, one of the most important things that I saw here that we want to work on, which is what everyone has to do, honestly, is the case leadership. The
Mm.
main thing here is we'll talk about your framework. Not that I wanted, we want to improve your framework, but more importantly, your framework went out the window. Like from the very beginning. Literally, you're like, here's my framework. And then your first question had nothing to do with it. Your second question had nothing to do with it. Excuse me. What the F is the point of a framework then? So remember that a framework is a project plan, right? So it's what you come up with at the beginning of a project. And therefore, it is how you then progress through that project in real life. Bucket A is work stream A, or it's what Johnny is going to go work on for a week, or it's what you're going to go work on for a week. Bucket 2 is week 2, or phase 2, or work stream 2, or team 2, right? So if you have a framework, the whole freaking point is to then help you solve the case. One, this framework is not going to help you solve, right? And we'll talk about it, and that's okay. You did what a lot of people do. But two, if you're going to have a framework, you better darn well use it as your case leadership. And you need frameworking throughout your case. I'm going to give a spoiler really quick and say there was one point where you had a perfect mini framework. You said, given that sales and wheel, this was exhibit 1, right? I know I'm jumping around a little, but I want to get this mindset shift first, and then I'll to the other stuff, and I'll show you the assessment. You said this was perfect because it was insight driven. It wasn't just numbers, it was insight driven. And you had the 2 pathways. It was perfectly MECE. There were only these 2 choices. You said, because wheels, airbags, and seatbelts are falling, we have 2 choices, 2 pathways. Right? The first is we can fix the decline in wheels, airbags, and seatbelts, figure out what's wrong and turn it around. That's pathway A. Or you could do both, right? It's not an either or. Or we can double down on carburetors and AC units that are doing well and do even better. This is a framework. This is case leadership. A framework does not end after the first framework. You need multiple frameworks throughout the case because literally that is the definition. Case leadership is taking your framework, taking your pathways that are perfectly MECE, mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. That's exactly why we need MECE. MECE literally means I have a problem. I know for a fact that my 2 buckets or my 2 pathways or my 3 buckets, my 3 pathways are going to 100% of the time solve the problem. I don't know which pathway will, but I've thought about it at a level where I have a cake and I'm cutting it in half. And I know that the answer is here or here, right? Or cutting it into thirds. This was the only time, sorry, but it's good that you know how to do it. This was the only time that you were perfectly MECE and had perfect frameworking and perfect case leadership. Either fix the ones that are falling or improve even more, double down, milk the good ones. Because then you go, first question I have now is, do you have information on the falling ones? Any info on what's going on with those profits? Any sort of breakdown? If I say no, we know the answer lies here. Within this pathway was kind of our products, and then maybe there's other pathways, which is like new products or something. But within here, we have those 2 branches. And you can ask 2 questions that either give you more info, or we fail quick and we move back up and we go somewhere else, right? So that's completely and utterly fundamental to casing. And most people don't do this. Yes. They hope that random numbers that they ask for are given. Remember that a case is a project. So, you're not going to go to Joe Schmo, who's a mid-level manager, doesn't really care about his job, right? 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. clock out. You're not going to go, hey, do you have, and then insert really, really narrow data ask. Or insert really, really generic, like, do you have any info that helps? You need the in-between. Because Joe Schmo, if you don't define it properly, either in person or in an email you sent him, is going to say, nah, don't have anything. You go back to your desk, a day later, you go back, nah, don't have anything. That's time, right? So what a lot of people do is they go, do you have a breakdown of the volumes here? No, there goes a day in real life. What about the prices that we're charging? No, there goes a day in real life, right? You send out an email, he takes time to respond, right? Rather, you need to say any information, which you did, right? Any information on the wheels, AC unit, wheels, airbags, and seatbelts, any breakdown of these products that can help us figure out what's going wrong here. That's the right definition. Because Joe will have to send you an email back saying, yep, I have a bunch of stuff, go and parse through it. Here's some stuff, right? But you did it in a day instead of a week. Make sense?
Yeah,
okay.
perfect sense.
We'll come back and debrief on the case really quick. I want to give you the score now. I'm a big believer in, the greatest accomplishments come from temporary defeat. You would way rather know this than not know it, okay? So a lot of these are fixable fairly quickly, okay? But it's out of 5. Don't worry, it's not out of 10, it's out of 5. I would want you to be at 4 for a 50% chance to pass the first round. I would want you to be at 4.5 out of 5 to have basically a very, very strong chance of passing the first round and, a 50-50 or a good shot of passing the second. Let's talk about what you can do to get there. Well, to do that, here we'll do root cause identification, but framework structuring. Okay. Non-holistic approach. Yours was not holistic. Overlapping concepts. listed random set of ideas and options. Okay. You got the first two. You did know the objective. You did include the context, but you had a bunch of random ideas. Oh, seasonal. Oh, years. What about research and development? What about property? What about staff? We could sell more to more companies. We could sell to customers. We could do other locations. What about new products, right? That's just to show you, there were a lot of things where once you got into the buckets, you were just listing random stuff instead of having structure even within the buckets. Okay. For the overlapping concepts, that's the mutually exclusive part, the ME part, and the non-holistic is the CE, collectively exhaustive, right? If you think about it, right, your internals, you're like, let's go look at internals, right? Research and development, property, and staff. Is that not diagnostics, right? For market, right, looking at competition and what's going wrong there, is that not diagnostics? For internal, when we said diagnostics and we're looking at what's going wrong, what have we seen in the past few years, what have we been doing wrong, isn't that internals? Right. And then financials, isn't financials part of solutions, part of diagnostic, part of solutions, right? So we're gonna talk more about this, but let me just show you really quick two things. Frameworking is a gargantuan thing, and so obviously I'm going to send you a bunch of info on how to framework, and I'm going to send you some practice exercises. Okay, but number one, these buckets are illegal. Okay, risks and solutions. So you had solutions, right? It's across every single bucket. Our entire framework is how do we solve this problem? So if you're being brought in for a $2 million contract and the client is like, hey, here's the thing we're trying to solve. And you go, all right, week one, what we're going to do is we're going to look at solutions. No shit, Sherlock, right? So solutions is part of a framework. It's everything. Everything we're doing is solutions. We can't have a bucket going, the way in which we're going to come up with solutions for you for this problem is by having a week focused on solutions. It's like, no, I need to know how. Your framework is your approach to solving the problem. Same thing with risks. Those sit across. Now you're going to see a lot of, I'm going to get flack for this, but you're going to see a lot of consultants that do this. They're wrong. They're just plain wrong. Risks can apply in some narrow scenarios, but you're even going to see interviewers that have this as a bucket. It's wrong because risks are everywhere. Risks are across everywhere. When you're looking at diagnostics and market and internals and risks is everywhere, solutions is everywhere. Same thing. The other one you had to do with diagnostics, right? That's basically baselining or assessment, right? This is process. Do not talk about like the steps that we'll take. Every single project is going to have a baseline and assessment, i.e. diagnostics, look what's going on. Every single project is going to come up with solutions. Every single project is going to prioritize them, right? That's not a framework because a framework is the approach that we will take when doing that, right? And then you kind of, look, financials can sometimes work, okay? Not in this case, but just be careful with anything like other or additional. And don't do the non, right? It's like, what do you want for dinner? I want meat and non-meat. Well, that's ridiculous, right? So don't do the non, not that you did it, but the financials here didn't quite make sense. Now, instead of talking about all the things that are wrong, let's talk about that's another prompt. So this is one example. And again, I have a video that talks through this. So I'm going to do this one really, really quick, but I have a video that talks through this in depth, right? But a much more structured way would have been like looking at the overall market, looking at the competitors, and then looking at our company itself, right? If you think about it, there's the market, there's the macro forces, right? Overall demand, look at geographies and look at the kind of what's going on with parts across the world, right? Then you can dive into competitors on its own, right? What's going on with them and who's doing well and not, right? Then you can dive into us, okay? There's a second framework as well, and you'll also see it in my case video, but that's just to give you a general idea. If you're gonna slice the cake, slice it in the same way. If you think mathematically, stay on the x-axis. Don't do one on the x-axis, one on the y-axis, and one on the z-axis, right? Stay on the same axis. Slice vertically or slice horizontally. Don't slice in multiple directions. Diagnostics is one thing. Market is on a totally different wavelength, right? Internals is a different wavelength, right? Stick with the theme, right? So that's the main thing there, but frameworking is a very, very kind of big topic. And again, I'll talk through some of the homework stuff. Okay. Question, or I'll make sense before I jump into the rest of the assessment.
I do think sometimes my bucket name is really bad. So for instance, for the fourth one,
Ooh,
I initially,
distraction. Bucket name has nothing to do with it. This is the thinking. Forget about the bucket name. You need to
oh,
fix the thinking.
okay,
Don't worry about bucket. That's a distraction. If you fix the thinking, the bucket name will be fine.
okay.
You'll see how
Uh,
I do it in the videos. I understand the question, but it's a distraction. Fix the
okay.
thinking. Your framework is an approach to solving the problem. It is a project plan. You need to be able to assign each bucket to a team member, that each one you work on their own, but holistically and together they solve the problem. Okay.
Mm,
That is what we need. It needs to be able to solve the case. Numeracy, look, I put a 5. We didn't really test it much. I saw you were doing kind of the percent decline, and that was pretty reasonable. So this one, I'll put a 5. It wasn't really tested on this one. It's not the one that I normally worry about. This one, for most people, can be fixed pretty quickly through things like rocket blocks and stuff like that. Side note, never use rocket blocks for frameworking. Rocket blocks I love for charts and exhibits and math practice. It is one of the worst resources out there for frameworking. Okay, so just a quick flag. I've had candidates come to me like a month into their prep and they're like, yeah, so I've been using rocket blocks for framework. I'm like, no, you just wasted so much time. Okay. Judgment insights. So there were multiple moments where you shone. Okay. There were multiple moments where you really picked up on it. I actually really loved when you said wheels, airbags, and seat. This was exhibit 2, wheels, airbags, and seat belts. Oh, am I sharing? Okay, cool. I'm sharing my screen. Wheels, airbags, and seat belts. Uh, people care about speed, right? And for the other 2 products, people don't care about speed. And so, and those 2 products are doing well. So therefore, it must be a problem with our delivery speed. I'm going to tell you right now, I've never seen anyone pick up on that. That was awesome. Okay. However, and this comes into the case leadership, then you asked only about delivery speed. Don't lock yourself in, right? Say, great, do you have a breakdown of how our products, how we do for these products compared to competition? Why say only delivery speed? Again, Joe Schmo has everything. Why don't you ask, like, hey, do you have any breakdown of our products and how well we perform against competition, in particular across these areas, right? If he has delivery speed and other stuff, you may as well grab it because maybe we suck at quality, right? So just be careful with that. Your insight was really good, but then for case leadership, you went too narrow, right?
I think after seeing figure 2, I couldn't think about competition.
What's that?
Like,
Say that again.
yeah, so after looking at figure 2, this figure, I couldn't
Yeah.
intuitively think about competition. Like that wasn't in my mind. So I was still thinking about comparison within these 5.
Comparison to what?
So like, so for instance, AC units and carburetors, how can we improve them or things
Oh,
like
I
that.
see what you're
So
saying. Yeah, because you asked about our, but you did ask about our delivery speed, and then I think you said in comparison to competition, didn't you? Or you just asked about our delivery speed?
I think I did. I might did. I don't
Yeah,
remember on top of my head.
that's
But
fair.
yeah, I think in the
This,
future, competition
go.
should be something like a big bucket that I should bear in my mind.
No,
So yeah.
no, 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 no. Every
Oh,
case is different.
oh,
Every
oh
case is
yeah,
different.
yeah.
You have to think about every case on its own. There's no blanket rule. Okay.
That's true.
But again, sorry, just I got a little distracted. It was more about I was jumping to case leadership about going too narrow on that. However, what I want
Mm.
to come back to is that was a moment where your insights and judgment were really, really good, right? You noticed the different because insights are about finding the differences in numbers and saying the so what, right? The other one that was good, it took a little too long, but right, going these 3 are falling, therefore let's focus on them, or these 2 are increasing, let's also focus on them to increase, right? So those were good insights.
Mhm.
However, um, you do want to be careful on some of the assumptions you make, right? So insights have to be based on data, and so when we were looking at the speed, you just assumed that we wouldn't be able to decrease it, right? You wanted to look into Asian markets and producing there, right? So there were a lot of times where you wanted to jump into like a bunch of answers, but you didn't have the data, and that's what brought down your judgment insights,
Mm.
where you needed to be stronger in not just trying to default to brainstorming and grabbing the main takeaway and honing in on it, and seizing it for the case leadership. And as I talk, I'm actually going to bump you up to a 4, okay? Because generally the insights were good. Now, case leadership, okay? So lost the needed guidance, didn't leverage framework, did not update the framework and thinking, guessed when asking for data and information, okay? I'm sorry, this one I'm bringing down to a 2.5. So right out of the gate, right, we talked about this, you just abandoned the framework. Right out of the gate, you were asking really specific or random things, right? Market info, total demand, B2B businesses, any strategies for profit growth. I mean, that's what we're being brought in for. And then when you were doing the delivery speed, you're like, maybe we can fly cargo, we can look into Asian markets. You then offered to brainstorm. You assume delivery speed can't be fixed, right? And so there were just a lot of points where you weren't staying organized. But again, as I flagged earlier, when you looked at Exhibit 1 and you said we can either fix wheels, airbags, and seatbelts or double down on carburetors and AC units, that was perfect case leadership, right? Here, perfect would have been asking how we do across all 3 of these, not limiting yourself to speed. Even better would have been how do we do across all 3 of these and compared to competition. But at the very least, just settle with me on, you shouldn't have just asked for delivery speed. You should have asked, how do we perform across all 3 of these? But in particular, I'm interested in delivery speed. And here the pathway was, cool, anything we can do to reduce this delivery speed. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Please, please, please. I don't know if this fits under case leadership or judgment insights. Please stop offering to brainstorm. It's a huge.
Oh.
The interviewer will let you know when they want you to. I mean, a case should be solved in 20 minutes, right? You'll see that in my video, right? Case should be done in 20 minutes. Do not offer to brainstorm. We do that when we panic and we don't know where else to go, okay? Do not offer to brainstorm. If you are stuck, if you don't know where to go, take a second. Say, cool, let me just gather my thoughts, okay?
Got it.
Give me a second. Oh, yeah. On the brainstorming and on the case leadership, remember that the idea is to be organized, okay? So if you're brainstorming, you were really close here, but you need to be more organized, as in you don't have to be perfectly MECE with a brainstorm, but we do want to be as high level and as close to MECE as possible. What I mean is you said local manufacturing or Canada and Mexico. It's the same thing. You should separate that into 2 different things. What you should call it is getting rid of the need to ship across the Pacific, right? That's a bucket, right? We have 20 days. Instead of dealing with it, our first option is to get rid of it by making sure that our products are closer to the customer. Done. Because with that, you cover producing in Canada and Mexico, you cover producing in the US, you cover pre-shipping it and having warehouses there with parts that are already there and are ready to go. You skip you cover the need to, you cover the ability to have someone else manufacture it in the US instead of us manufacturing, right? Do you see what I mean? If you lock yourself into just local manufacturing in the US, right, or just producing Canada and Mexico, you haven't covered the real topic, which is cut that 20 days. Don't even have a need for it. Therefore, what's the second one? If that's my first one, what's my second bucket here?
Still sticking to, I guess, the across Pacific Ocean transportation, but improving the speed.
There you go. Bingo. You said other means of transport. I know what you were getting towards and your thinking was right, but other means of transport is too prescriptive. Whereas what we want to call it, you've said it exactly right, reducing, doing everything we can to reduce that 20 days and make it shorter. And then you can say that could be by flying it and finding other means of transport. That could be by getting a shorter route across the ocean. It could be by making the ships go faster, et cetera, et cetera. But don't make the ideas be the top thing. Make the buckets be the top thing. Makes sense? Don't give up on the delivery speed. Don't just assume. Never, never, never assume. Clarify. If you think that we can't fix delivery speed, double check with me. Okay. I just remembered one thing. So that's what when we brainstorm, we still want the categories. I still want the stuff underneath, but we do want the categories, and that's a bit of case. I just realized why I put this to 3.5. The reason is just remember, when you get a chart or exhibit, step one should be to summarize the exhibit just in a sentence, just overall. It looks what we have here is a breakdown of our products compared to the competition, how well they do. Then you take a moment to gather your thoughts. Then you lead with the insight and then support it with the reasons, okay? Your order was just a little bit off here, okay? In my course, I talk through those exact steps as well, so I'll show you that. Okay, almost done here. Creativity was great. Creativity is kind of what we're talking about with the industry. I just want to make sure that you understand the business, right? You're not being generic with things like, I want to look at revenue and costs, fixed costs and variable. This whole time you were internalizing that we produce these parts, that we're in Korea, that we ship to the US, that there's these manufacturers. The whole time I knew that you knew the business that we were talking about. That's what creativity means. It doesn't mean that you're, super creative and come up with a bunch of stuff. It just means that you kept the context. This was great. You did a great job here. Presence as well. Overall, you came across well, okay? One of the things was the guessing for information, which, if the case leadership affects this a bit. The other one was offering a brainstorm all the time. The other one, these are a little bit small, but if you can, try not to say the word I guess, the phrase I guess.
Oh.
And try not to say my bad.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I do not. No, you're good. You're good. It's a small one. It's not going to make or break. I want you to be a human being. I want you to be personable. I want you to show me your personality. Professional doesn't mean robotic. Okay. So I still want you to use natural language and be a human, right? But the I guess and my bad is too unprofessional, it's too relaxed, too colloquial. Okay. All right. Communication, you nailed it. Really, really good. Again, if you fix the case leadership, then you're going to, and you do the judgment insight steps, right, where you lead with the insight, then, your communication is going to be excellent. But I call it a 5 because naturally you were very clear and articulate. Last one, final recommendation. Remember, when you get to the end of a case and you think you're at the end, you need to basically cover your bases. And you need to go, great, because you can tell you're at the end here, right? Just go, great, I think I have everything I need for my final recommendation. But just before I do so, I want to check, is there anything else that I should be aware of? Anything around new products we can launch, anything around competition, more things about, making our products better, just anything that I might have missed that could affect our next step or what we do here. Just cover your bases. And I'll just go no, and then okay, great, I'll take a moment to gather my thoughts. Second point, take a moment. It's good that you're ready. I might say interviewers or CEOs walking in, but if I don't, you get 20 or 30 seconds. You didn't have any risks here. Your next steps were total guesses, okay? And even the recommendation wasn't totally clear. The recommendation should have been, let's leave the 3 that are failing. Let's even try to divest from them or, do something to get away from it, get what we can from it now. And let's double down on the 2 that do work. And let's look at any other profit initiatives. I know it's a bit kludgy, it's a little bit difficult here, but that should be the recommendation. Risks need to directly relate to our recommendation, i.e. the recommendation we're making should be the risk. Here it's, we're gonna give up 3 out of 5 products. That is a huge risk. That's 3/5 of our business. We're just saying goodbye. Huge risk to the size of our company, workforce, all of that, right? Then and then there might be another risk or 2. Next steps need to directly mitigate those risks. Next steps cannot be a bunch of random stuff or guesses. They have to relate to the risk and mitigate it, okay? So just really quickly, because I have to run, I have back-to-backs, but all of this can be fixed. The main thing is get your frameworking down and get your case leadership down. Be a man with a plan, right? So make sure that you are thinking about this like you're solving a problem and breaking it down into organized chunks, okay? That is my main feedback here. Luckily, you have the recording, so you can come back. I don't need to recap here. You'll see it all. But my number one thing, if anything comes through, it's harness and channel that moment when you said, we can focus on the failing ones and try to fix them, or we can double down on the good ones. That is frameworking, and that is case leadership, okay? Again, I am going to share with you this assessment. I'm going to share with you the case. I am going to share with you a video where I talk through the framework in depth. I showed you one of those slides. There's another slide or two with other framework options, and I talk through them in depth. I'm going to send you 2 live case videos, one where I do this case and one where I do the alternate pathway. Okay. And just bear with me. I know this is a lot, but I'd rather give you, again, my whole point with all of this is I want one session to equal 5, right? Because instead of us going through all of this over 5 hours, I can give you videos that basically cover it all. How to framework, I think I've already sent you, but just review it. I'm probably going to send you the world of frameworks. It's a full visualization of every of the classic case types and how they interact with each other, how a profitability could lead to a growth, could lead to a market entry, etc. And I'm going to give you one of these. I think I'm going to give you the profitability one. What I want you doing is these are basically practices. So listen to the prompt, pause the video, work on the framework yourself, and then listen to the answer options. Okay. Finally, last 2 things. I'll send you this case leadership one, which basically what I do is think of it as a driver tree. And actually, oh, what do we have here? The one we just did, the Korean OEM. You're going to have to figure out what the branches are at each stage. And then I reveal it and I talk through how we came up with those branches. So it's almost like every single possible solution to this case because of all the different flows. And then the last thing, and this is important too, I'm going to send you an article on the profitability stuff, which is, it kind of dives into the, why we can't just jump into solutioning or diagnostics or internals. Is going to talk you through kind of how we think about breaking down these problems. Okay.
Got it.
Awesome.
Awesome.
A lot of stuff.
Sorry.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question regarding final recommendation. So I should be the one saying, okay, I guess I have most of the information I need for the final recommendation. Unless I'm missing anything here, shall I just proceed with giving you the final recommendation? Should I be the one saying that?
No, try to stay away from the kind of the passive language of like, do you want me to or should I? Go, great, I think I have all the information I need now to make a final recommendation, unless there's anything important that I've missed, such as, and then you kind of want like an umbrella thing, right? Such as anything more about these products or any other products or any other profitability options that we might have at our disposal. If not, I'll go ahead and create my, I'll take a moment to come up with the final recommendation. Always do the assertive, not do you want me to brainstorm, right? Do you want me to come up with a Rex? It's the I will unless we have something. Make sense?
Oh, I see.
You'll see that in my videos as well.
Okay, awesome. Okay, I think that's all my questions. Thank you so much for your help today. Could you also share this recording with me?
Absolutely, absolutely. No, of course, of course. Good job today. It's those fundamental mindset shifts, but you've got all of the fundamentals. So I'm highly confident. Enjoy the materials. Let me know if you need anything, okay?
All right, thank you so much, Ian.
Sure. Bye.
Bye.